Yo, guys, Urb'n Barz brings you the best UK reactions to rap, hip hop, and urban music from all around the world. And guys, we've got our man Dax back in the house tonight because this is Dax's world. So here at Urb'n Barz, we absolutely love Dax. Dax is one of these people that just comes and he brings it, and you know it's from the heart each and every time. And he's got a track here, and I think it's an ode or something to Oliver something. I don't know the guy's name, so apologies on that. And this is the North of Richmond remix. And I think he's done a version, Chris Webby's done a version, so not too sure what's going on because I've not actually ever heard the original, so I'm at a loss here. But I know that when Dax does something, he does it 100%. So I've heard the Chris Webby version. That just blew my socks off, people. So this is Dax. This is North of Richmond remix, and I think it's originally done by Oliver Anthony. Is that his name? Something like that. But let's get it. So united we stand,
what the
divided we
world's
fall.
gotten to for people like me, people like you.
So this is exactly how the Chris Webby version started, I think. And Chris Webby again was in an area like this, same kind of lumberjack shirt here. So Dax is paying homage. So let's get it.
It's a damn shame what the world's gotten to for people like me, people like you. Wish I could just wake up and it not be true, but it is. Oh, it is living in the new.
And this is a ode to the blue collar worker, the farmer, you know, the people who work with their hands, etc., etc.
With an whole soul.
Cowboy.
The rich men north of Richmond, Lord knows they all just wanna have total control.
This world has changed and I had to accept it. They ask my political views while I search for their hidden agendas. I don't got an answer.
So with this political views and hidden agendas, so certain people are saying maybe, you know, you got the thing from the left, you got the right, but are they coming from the same angle, or are they coming from different angles to get to the same thing? There is a difference, people. But that belt buckle, that's a steer of some kind. Seen that before. But you know, now people are judged not on who they are and their character, as Dr. Martin Luther King said once, many years ago in the late 60s. But now people are judged by their political viewpoints. Really? We're individuals, people. We're not political views.
They ask my political views while I search for their hidden agendas.
So the system's gone. Really? I'm not sure what's going on with my system, guys. It's getting so frustrating. It really is. And he's got Nigeria, the Nigeria flag on his neck there. Guys, let me know if that's true. The green, the white, and the green, that's Nigeria, West Africa. If I'm wrong, guys, let me know in the comments section.
This world has changed and I had to accept it. They ask my political views while I search for their hidden agendas. I don't got an answer, I try to remember the devil divides. Pressure appears from our peers. Those arguments waste our time while helping to push their lies, so fuck.
The devil divides. So you've got the left, you've got the right, and people even say you've got the center. So the devil divides. And what's the devil's dividing? It's divide and conquer, divide and rule. So we're all at each other's throats, arguing about the left, the right, the this, the that, and the third. But what are we really meant to be focusing on? What are we missing? Whilst we're arguing to the left, to the right, what's going on behind? I don't know, guys. Let me know in the comments section. Let me know.
I don't got an answer, I try to remember the devil divides. Pressure appears from our peers. Those arguments waste our time while helping to push their lies, so fuck political views. I got common sense.
Yeah.
I know God made man, and the sun sets on a life where we focus on things that we cannot control and accumulate so much regret. By the time we decide to live, we're practically already dead. So
oh, I love that. By the time we decide to live, we're practically already dead. We've wasted so much time deliberating and arguing over things that probably and possibly don't even matter. And then we haven't focused on what is real and what is important to us, especially which is family, people. By the time we decide to live, it's already too late. Love it.
Accumulate so much regret. By the time we decide to live, we're practically already dead. So I go to sleep with the thoughts of 45 years living in debt. 45 years can't pay rent. 45 years just for a pension. I'm too old to enjoy and go spend. 45 years working and slaving for rich men.
I love that. He had the flag of Canada and America side by side. But he said he's had 45 years living in debt, 45 years, just almost treading water. Heading towards retirement, pension, and by the time you get to that age, there's nothing left. Your body's broken. There's nothing left to enjoy.
45 years working and slaving for rich men with no time for my family and friends. Then I wake up and pray that it ends.
Living in the new world with an whole soul. The rich men north of Richmond, Lord knows they all just wanna have total control.
Total control.
Descendants of Adam and Eve, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree.
Descendants from Adam and Eve, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree.
The apple doesn't fall far from the tree. They're taking God out the schools. Our kids don't know what to believe.
Oh my goodness, and that is so true. And it's not just in the US and Canada, it's in the UK as well. They're taking away people's rights to express a religious belief. It's almost as if it's a criminal thing to do these days. But what I see on other areas and other platforms, this, that, and everything else, I'm not going to mention anything. I see some incredible things that I thought I would never see. And that is now being portrayed as the norm. But if you say, for instance, that you love God or you believe in God or anything like that, then you're vilified. You're almost persona non grata. This world is topsy-turvy. This world is inverted. This world is just... I don't even know what to say, people. I really don't know what to say.
Tree. They're taking God out the schools. Our kids don't know what to believe. From 6 to 18, the curriculum fails and Gen Z gets taught by their phones with forced feeds that get sponsored and paid by companies. That's how they attack us. It starts with the youth. If you lie enough, you'll convince...
That's so true. If you lie enough, you'll be convinced it's the truth. But that's how they attack us. They start with the youth. And the reason they do that, people, is if you think about it, the people who are old and set in their ways like ourselves, we're soon to die out. So what's the point of trying to indoctrinate us to something that in a few years' time is gone, because we'll be resistant. But the youth who are fresh minds are less resistant to people and to permeate things into people's minds. You think about it, if the youth grow up with all these new fandangled ideas, then they'll pass it on to their children and they pass it on to their children. So that's the way to really to eradicate certain things from whatever. You know how people like eugenicists, they want to eradicate certain traits in people, the traits they think are bad or not great or this, that, and everything else. You sort of, over the period, you put it through and you start to... I don't even want to say the words too much because I know I'm going to get done on YT, but it takes time to put all these ideas into practice, and it takes time for them to become generally accepted. But over that time, once the older generation dies out, it becomes the norm and the common. And yeah, I hope that explains that, people. It's a shocker.
And Gen Z gets taught by their phones with forced feeds that get sponsored and paid by companies. That's how they attack us. It starts with the youth. If you lie enough, you'll convince anybody the lie's the truth. So telling these kids they can choose their own gender at ages they can't even tie their own shoes, drive or drink is crazy.
And that is so true. That's the one thing that gets me. I've not got, what do they call it? I've not got a horse in a race on either side. But I do know one thing, because I remember when I was boxing, whatever, and I was told not to be doing weights at a young age, 11 years of age, 12, etc., because the body hasn't developed, the body hasn't grown. So, and the other thing about that with children is the mind as well. The mind hasn't fully developed, hasn't grown. Like the skull doesn't fuse together properly till 13, 14, 15. So if you're telling children of 6, 7 years of age to be doing certain things, it's not right. If that child has the same thoughts when they're 16, 17, 18, great. Let them do what they want to do. But at 6 and 7 years of age, really, has a child really got that absolute knowledge? Because between 6 and 9, your viewpoint's going to change. Between 9 and 12, your viewpoints will change again and again and again. That's why as parents, you're guardians of children till they're 16, 17, 18. It makes perfect sense and logical sense to me. So why are people trying to get someone who is so young, underdeveloped, not matured, to do something which, guys, we need to think heavily about what we're doing. If they want to do it when they're 16, 17, 18, then more power to their elbow. More power to their elbow. Not when they're 6 and 7, though. Not at all.
These kids, they can choose their own gender at ages they can't even tie their own shoes. Drive or drink is crazy. Common sense isn't common unless it pays me. That's the thought process daily. Look at the content we're creating, lies diluting our brains. I'm done trying to argue online with these people who think that a vote's gonna bring about change. How many presidents does it take to have?
He just says something that's so interesting there. So all these people who think that a vote is going to bring about change, just consider this, people. All of the people who you vote for on the left, all the people you vote for on the right, they go to the same schools, they go to the same colleges, they go to the same, all these things together. They're all in the same fraternities, sororities, this, that, and the third. They'll all come from the same shoe, people. Just think about that. Think about it.
A life worth living, an actual comfortable wage. No more school shootings. Let's unite these states.
It's a damn shame what the world's gotten to.
Oh, he's singing.
People like me, people like you. Wish I could just wake up and it not be true, but it is.
People like me.
Oh, it is.
People like
Living
me.
in the new world
Oh,
with an
cattle,
old soul.
steer.
These rich men north of Richmond, Lord knows they all just wanna have total control.
It's a damn shame. That was great. So that was our man Dax, and wow, Dax is hitting on some issues that is going to bring some heat onto Dax. Real heat. So in this world, I was always brought up that there was freedom of speech, and that's the thing that I always go for, FOS, and that's why I've had so many troubles here on my own channel, my platform. They don't like it when someone speaks their mind. When someone has freedom of thought, freedom of speech, they don't like it. They do not like it one little bit, and they try all these little tricks to try and stop you from voicing an opinion. And then they call it hate speech, they call it this, that, and the third. Absolutely rubbish, not at all. But when people talk about things like certain things like Dax said here on his track, rich men north of Richmond, they do not like it. They do not like it. Guys, hope you enjoyed that here at Urb'n Barz. I'm going to speak how I want to speak, guys, until they cut my tongue out. That's the only way they're going to stop me from speaking or deplatform me, whichever comes quickest, guys. But it is what it is, people. But in my opinion, Dax was speaking common sense and logical sense as well. Maybe you agree, maybe you disagree. Let me know down here in the comment section. But I really enjoyed that. That was great. And Dax was speaking from the heart there. There was no trying to be running up and down the skills, this, that, and the third, whatever. He was speaking from the heart. And sometimes by speaking from the heart, instead of having all these, what did he call it? In rhymes, out rhymes, this, that, and the third rhymes. Who cares, people? Sometimes it's just about speaking directly from your heart, and not about all the little runs, the trills, the thrills that you can do with a track. You speak from your heart. And from there, I got to think that Dax is just fed up with all this nonsense. And that's the point. All of this is nonsense, but it's designed to break us down bit by bit by bit. You see, they never do things in one whole go. It's all in increments. Trust me on this, people. Anything you see, when you see something that comes through, that's not the end of it. There's increments. They may want to put this through in 4 or 5 different phases, maybe more phases than that, but it's in increments, incremental ways. It's like Chinese, I don't even know if you can say that, so I hope I'm not offending anyone, but it's like the water torture treatment. You know, just bit by bit by bit, drip by drip by drip by drip by drip, it just wears you down until eventually you've had enough. Whereas if they hit it, they went in guns blazing, there'd be uproar. But doing it bit by bit by bit by bit, you eventually wear the population down, people. Anyway, I'm not going to say too much more because, again, I'm going to be targeted here on this channel. But it is what it is, guys. And it isn't what it isn't. And I'm not really bothered, to be honest with you. Too big, too old, whatever. Anyway, here at Urb'n Barz, guys, I always say to look after yourselves and look after each other. And there's a reason why I say that, guys. Look after yourselves, guys. Look after each other. But more importantly than all of that, guys, make sure and make certain you come back to the next Urb'n Barz reaction, guys.